Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another sports stuff video. Today, we're talking about the Seattle Seahawks and their offseason plan to rebuild this team, end the rumors, and win another Super Bowl. Now that Pete Carroll is officially out of the organization, it is Mike Mcdonald's show. There's no former head coaches in the front office, yada, yada, yada. Let's get into the video. If you guys do enjoy it, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be notified when I post next. Let's get into the video. Starting off with the cuts and or trades, the Seattle Seahawks are currently negative $13 million in the cap. So let's do some work. I personally believe in the NFL more than any other league where there is smoke, there is fire. And currently, there is a whole building of smoke on Geno Smith being traded from the Seattle Seahawks. Last year, Geno had 4,300 yards, 21 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. He had the worst year since taking over the starting job in Seattle, and those are still really good numbers. The offensive line play was horrendous, though. The interior offensive line let up constant pressures, constantly was ruining plays. The running backs couldn't do anything. It was horrendous. He's a 34-year-old on a team that's not ready to compete, not ready to win a Super Bowl right now. Is not, they're a few years away from true contention, right? They went 10-7, so they could run it back with Geno Smith. But in my opinion, Mike Mcdonald's not the guy that brought him to Seattle. That was Pete Carroll. So I think Geno Smith does get moved because that's not Mike McDonald. That's not Mike McDonald's guy. So what I did is that I'm doing a swan song reunion where the New York Jets get Geno Smith and Seattle gets a 5th round pick and a 6th round pick, number 145 and 207 respectively. The reason I do this is that, honestly, the New York Jets need a quarterback. I don't think they're going to get a quarterback in this year's draft. So I think Aaron Glenn goes, you know what? I want to do who can play in a system, has a good arm, is very accurate, can deliver the ball, and plays in a scheme. That's what Tanner Eggstrand had with Jared Goff. That's what they can get out of Geno Smith. They had the cap space to make it work. I think he's an Aaron Glenn type of guy. And again, he was drafted by the Jets. This gives him a chance to finish his career with the Jets. So they get a 5th round pick and a 6th round pick. They move off of his money. They save $31 million against the cap. None of his contract is guaranteed. He has 2 years left on his contract. None of it guaranteed. So he can get traded to the Jets. They can rework their contract, where they then save $31 million against Seattle's cap, and the Jets can rework his contract. That is a spot I think really makes a lot of sense. Again, they need a quarterback. They just cut Aaron Rodgers. I don't see them landing a quarterback in the draft or any big free agents. I think Geno Smith is ideally who they want. He's led the league completion percentage two of the years he's been a starter for Seattle, so he can deliver the ball accurately on time. And again, 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. That's a solid year for what Geno Smith is, and this is the worst year of his career he's had since being a starter again. So I think Tanner Eggstrand can really unlock Geno Smith and make him even more effective than he is right now. So we're going to get a 5th and a 6th round pick out of that. Next, we'll be trading DK Metcalf, yet another where there's smoke, there's fire. There's a whole mountain of fire coming out of this camp that DK Metcalf will not be a Seattle Seahawks next year. So DK Metcalf had 66 receptions, 992 yards, and 5 touchdowns last year. He's in the final year of his contract. The front offices has been very slow to have contract extension talks with them. And, Jackson Smith and Jigba, he really emerged as a wide receiver 1 this past season, and I think that's their future is in JSN. He's the best big body threat currently in the league. Best bog body. That's funny. He's the best big body threat currently in the league. When he was drafted, I actually said, I don't really like it. He's too much of a jump ball threat, but he's really turned into a good route runner, solid speed, just a really good football player. Like every team in the NFL would want DK Metcalf. And they're going to trade him, last year of his contract. I just don't see him staying in Seattle. So I'm going to trade him to the New England Patriots, who need a wide receiver 1 for Drake May. And Seattle, they get a 3rd round pick, number 69, a 4th round pick, number 104, and a 6th round pick, number 219. So they get a top 70 pick, a top 105 pick, and then a 6th round pick. So that's pretty good for DK Metcalf. You spent a very end of the 2nd round pick on DK Metcalf. So a few years later, after a playoff appearance and really good production, you get a 3rd, a 4th, and a 6th out of a 2nd round pick. That's pretty good. I like that for value for the Seattle Seahawks. And for the Patriots, they get a bona fide wide receiver for Drake May because T. Higgins got franchise tagged. They already said they're not going to be going after T. Higgins. They've given up on that. I think DK Metcalf is a very good pivot for them. Next, we have Tyler Lockett. I would not have had Tyler Lockett on here if what happened did not happen. So I'll get into that. Last year had 49 receptions, 600 yards, and 2 touchdowns. In the last press conference, this end of season press conference, Tyler Lockett said goodbye. So he said publicly, I'm be moving on. I'm not here anymore, basically. Like, he put a whole thing on Twitter about thank you, Seattle Seahawks fans. It's been a great career. But then the next tweet was, I'm not retiring. So in my opinion, that honestly means that he's talked to the front office and they've said, we're going to move on from you, save $17 million and goodbye. He has trade value. I think he's the most underrated wide receiver in the last 8 years. Very good route runner, very crisp, and he doesn't get he avoids contact. If you guys watch Tyler Lockett play, the minute he catches the ball, he hits the ground. So his body is still held up really well. Like, he's 33 years old, still playing like he's 28 or 29. Multi-time 1,000-yard guy, avoids hits really well. I think Tyler Lockett's gonna have a very big market, and I think the Cleveland Browns can go for Tyler Lockett. So Cleveland, they get Tyler Lockett to get that final chess piece at wide receiver, and the Seahawks get a 25 fifth at number 165 and a 6th round pick at number 216. The Browns have a plethora of late round picks, so I think they're gonna cash in for a really good wide receiver in Tyler Lockett. So now they have Tyler Lockett, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, Jamari Thrash. Like, that's a very solid, competent wide receiver group. They like the smaller frame wide receivers, and Tyler Lockett is probably the best on the market currently in that small frame wide receiver. So that's who I'm going to go for. Then for cuts and restructures, I'm going to be cutting Rayshon Jenkins. He's 31 years old. You cut him, you save $5 million. You already have Julian Love. I'm going to invest more into the young guys and starting them and getting them their money. I'm also be cutting Roy Robertson Harris, 32 years old. They just traded for him in this past season, but cutting him for $6.6 million, that's got to be needed. And then Uchenna Nwosu does hurt, but I just think you can replace him in the draft. I don't think Mike Mcdonald did not sign Uchenna Nwosu. This front office didn't sign Uchenna Nwosu. So I'm going to move on from him, say $14.6 million. He opened up $27 million more in cap space. This just makes too much sense in my opinion. Then at re-signings, we now have $71 million in positive cap space. The only free agent the only re-sign I'm going to be doing is Ernest Jones at linebacker. This year had 94 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 48 run stops, and 13 pressures. He's a top 15, just do-it-all linebacker, right? He doesn't excel in one thing, but he's a really good, just does everything. They traded for him for the LA Rams past season, so they honestly value him. He was a great scheme fit for Mike Mcdonald. He really played that. He played that Patrick Queen role of run stopper, blitzer, and it doesn't let the run game get past them that Patrick Queen played when Mike Mcdonald had him. I really like what Ernest Jones did for them. He's a scheme fit for Mike Mcdonald, and he had a career year. Let's cash in and make sure he stays for our team for the next few years. Let's give him a 3-year, $45.5 million deal, $33 million guaranteed at 72% guaranteed. So 14, 15, and 16.5 is going to be the cap hit. That's not awful for what Ernest Jones did for you last year. And you can replicate that year after year. That is a top 15 linebacker, period. But again, 1-year season. I don't want to commit too much money long-term. So a 3-year deal we have an out after 2 years is very likely. Then entered free agency. You have $58 million. You have a void at quarterback. You have a void at wide receiver. Your offensive line needs to get upgraded. And I think you definitely use some help on defense. So what do I spend this money on? I'm going to splash and grab Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold obviously had a great season last year. He had 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Great season with a similar offense in Minnesota. Clint Kubiak is currently the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. When he got fired from the Saints, he signed on with the Seattle Seahawks. He was a passing game coordinator in 2023 with San Francisco when Sam Darnold was on San Francisco 49ers, and he helped choose Sam Darnold to be the quarterback 2 over Trey Lance. He saw more in him as a pass game coordinator. Obviously, when you have Shanahan as a head coach, all those decisions come down to him. But Clint Kubiak definitely had a voice in that room. Again, very similar offense to what they run in Minnesota. I think that connection cannot be overlooked. That, Clint Kubiak and Sam Darnold know each other. They've worked well with each other, and it just can't be overlooked. It has to be mentioned. So I gave Sam Darnold a 3-year, $102 million deal, $66 million guaranteed at 65% guaranteed. It does not hurt the cap as much as you would think. It went from only $58 million to $27 million. So you make that, front load that cap hit. You try and contend this year in that weak NFC West, especially with the Rams moving on from so many guys. The 49ers are rebounding and have to pay Brock Purdy, and the Cardinals are still a few years away from contending. This is a chance for the Seattle Seahawks to invest in a younger quarterback for a shorter amount of time and do a quick rebuild. So Sam Darnold comes over the Seattle Seahawks on basically a Baker Mayfield deal after having this past season with the Vikings. Similar offense. I think, really good running backs as well. Okay offensive line they're going to be improving on, and a really good wide receiver in Jackson Smith and Jigba with a really good defensive-minded head coach. So That's gonna be what I'm doing at quarterback. That's my big splash. Next, we're gonna be signing Mekhi Becton at offensive guard. He had 75 PFF grade, 64 pass blocking, 75 run blocking last year. He is much improved since his New York Jets run of being Mekhi Becton. He played on the best offensive line, so I should hope that he did improve that much. Definitely has flaws that got overlooked by Lane Johnson. There was plenty of TikTok guys that were, breaking down film and saying Mekhi Becton's being overrated. That's fine. He is an improvement of what is currently there for the Seattle Seahawks, and I think Clint Kubiak would love a massive body like this on his offensive line. I think it'd be a great mauler for Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. If they run behind Mekhi Becton at offensive guard, I think that could be really good. He'll probably re-sign with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, who wouldn't re-sign with a Super Bowl champion who can repeat next year? They have all the tools to repeat next year. Why wouldn't you want to re-sign? But if you can pry him away, that'd be really good. 3-year, $32 million, $23 million guaranteed at 71%. Again, great money for Mekhi Becton after having a horrible start to his career. Wins a Super Bowl, has a really good year winning the Super Bowl, and can now cash in either with the Eagles or I think in a similar offense. Obviously not as mobile of a quarterback. The running back is not as good, but the Eagles have so many other guys they need to pay. I think Mekhi Becton could slip through their fingers and after a much improved season, head over to Seattle Seahawks and bolster their offensive line. Then the only defensive signing I'm going to be doing is Azeez Ojulari. Azeez had 12 tackles, 7 sacks, 0 forced fumbles, 14 run stops, and 22 pressures last year. He had a really good season by his standards, probably one of his best of his career. He replaces Uchenna Nwosu outside immediately. He's more of a speed rusher than a power rusher. Uchenna Nwosu uses his strength to get to the quarterback. Azeez uses his speed, get that leverage to generate the power. But he's a low cost, high reward possibility from him on this defense. So I give him a 2-year, $14 million deal, $9 million guaranteed at 64%. Again, one of the best years of his career with that 7 sacks, 22 pressures and 14 run stops. He's a guy that you don't have to take off the field for run run plays. You can keep on the field at all times. You get him for pretty cheap, much cheaper than Uchenna Nwosu. I think it's half the value that Uchenna Nwosu had. So that's pretty solid. And I like Azeez Ojulari. I think he's been riding on the Giants. I'd be happy to see him go to a Mike Mcdonald defense. That would love to have a pass rusher like him. Then entering the draft, you have $14 million. I'm not going to touch that. This class, I'm going to be honest with you guys, with all those trades I did of Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and Geno Smith, I have a lot of draft picks. So I did not spend any more money. I decided to keep this amount of money. Then entering the draft, here's what I decided to do. Lots and lots of draft picks, I know. Let's go over every single one. So at number 18, grabbing Kelvin Banks Jr. Yes, he could play tackle for you. Abe Lucas missed a lot of last season. Maybe Kelvin Banks can start over Abe Lucas, former 3rd-round pick. But for me, I think he's a good offensive line prospect, right? Let's move him to guard, watch him all in the run game. Imagine having Kelvin Banks and Mekhi Becton at guard. 2 massive guards would be very good. Probably the biggest guard combo in the NFL. But Abe Lucas is coming back next year healthy. But, if he doesn't beat up Abe Lucas, it bolsters your interior offensive line that caused so many issues last year. And Sam Darnold can stay more upright than Geno Smith did last year. Then at number 50, grabbing Gunnar Helm. Noah Fant has definitely peaked for you. I think he's a free agent, and I decided not to re-sign him. Grab Gunnar Helm in the second. Great receiving tight end who can block effectively. He has a great frame, great size at 6'5", 250. Had 700 yards last year and was an effective run blocker. I think all these tight ends, Harold Fannin, Gunnar Helm, Arroyo from Miami, I think all these guys are going to end up being 2nd-round picks because of how good they are. Like, I'm a draft the best player available kind of dude, and I really, really, really think that Gunnar Helm is one of those guys that is just really, really good. Then at number 69, grabbing Jared Ivey from Ole Miss. You guys know I love these Ole Miss pass rushers. Great all around. He had his best year as a pass rushing last year with one of the highest graded run defense seasons as well. He's 6'6", 285, very long arms. He fits what Mike Mcdonald likes to do at edge. I'm a fan of Jared Ivey starting over Boye Mafe and just being an amazing run stopper immediately who can still get to the quarterback effectively, right? He needs to build on his frame a little bit. He has a little bit of a smaller frame, but I do think Jared Ivey in this defense can be really effective. Then at number 82, grabbing Jordan Phillips. Jordan Phillips, one of the best 3 techs in the Big Ten last year, but currently the 3 tech for the Seattle Seahawks is Byron Murphy, who they drafted in the 1st last year, who had a really good year. So Jordan Phillips has got to move the D tackle in a 3-4 system. So he's still in the middle of the defensive line. This is not the primary 3-4 tech guy, He's a great pass rusher. He has a frame to build and become an effective run stopper. But when it comes to pass rushing, I trust Jordan Phillips day one. Then at 104, one of my favorite wide receivers in this class, Pat Bryant. He, to me, replaced what Tyler Lockett, his role on the team was, as being a technician in the route running game. But he is 6'3", 200 pounds. So this is an outside receiver who runs routes like Tyler Lockett, avoids hits. I love him. I love him. He had 18 yards per catch last year. He's a great deep ball guy, and I think he gave me a really big boom dude for you, right? I think he'll easily be a 4th-round pick. Might even end up being a 3rd-round pick after the combine because he's going to run tomorrow. I think he's have a really fast speed, really good frame, showed he's a good route runner. I'm a big fan of Pat Bryant coming out of Illinois. As one of those dudes who you draft in the 4th, you go, whoa, this dude is like a steal, really good. Then I'm gonna do a trade. I'm sending some of my late round picks. I sent 165, 185, and 236 to trade up because a linebacker that I really liked was available still in Barrett Carter for this defense. He's a good run stopper. The defense needs help in the run game, and I think immediately he can become a high-end rotation guy. I don't think he's beating out anyone for a starting job year one, but I 100% see Barrett Carter being a role guy immediately in training camp. Then at 136, I grabbed Elijah Huzzie from UNC. He's a final piece of this very young secondary. He's a ball-hawking outside corner, and this really frees up Devin Witherspoon to dominate in his rover role, kind of like how Kyle Hamilton did under Mike Mcdonald, and now lets Witherspoon fully play that role. Because right now, Josh Jobe is your outside corner, and then behind him was Trey Jones. They're both free agents. Let him walk. Grab Elijah Huzzie. He's 5'10", but he plays much bigger than that. And I think that solidifies your outside secondary. Then, with that Geno Smith trade to the Jets, 145, I grabbed Seth McLaughlin from Ohio State. Seth is a potential starter at center, but you drafted Olu Oluwatimi last year. He was an okay starter, so, maybe you move Seth McLaughlin to guard, and that's what some analysts are saying. But at worst, you bolster the interior of the offensive line and just continue to add more and more guys to try and improve this as much as you can. But he had 0 sacks in their national championship run last year. The entire year, 0 sacks. I think only 7 or 8 pressures the entire year. So he had a really good season against a really good competition. I like Seth McLaughlin in the 5th round. Then for the after with another pick from the trades at number 173, I grabbed Quinn Ewers. So Quinn is very interesting, right? At 173, it's a very interesting pick, a potential starter in the future, but at my prediction, a high-end backup guy. He's intriguing as a developmental pick. Sam is only guaranteed for 2 years. Sam Darnold, I only guaranteed 2 years. So let's just say he falls apart in the first year and falls apart in the second year. You can cut him. You then have Quinn Ewers and Sam Howell fight it out for the next 2 years for who's going to be the number 1 backup and who can maybe take over Sam Darnold if he does play really poorly, or you just draft someone later on and you spent a 5th-round pick on a backup quarterback. Not bad. Then at 194, Gavin Ty Felton. He's 6'2", 180. I see him as a slot guy in the NFL. Doesn't really have that deep speed that a lot of these 6'2" guys need, but very skinny, very small frame. I see him as a tall slot. Let Jackson Smith-Njigba move around the line of scrimmage, right? Let's get him out of the slot. Let's let him play outside. Let's have him as inline tight end. Let him play all over. Get unique with it. Clint Kubiak, I think, loves these tall wide receivers. We saw in New Orleans when everyone was getting injured, they signed Marquez Valdes-Scantling. They love the tall wide receiver, and I think Ty Felton in the 6, fits that category. Then at number 207, grabbing Cameron Jackson, a run defending nose tackle. Let him play a role, right? Byron Murphy can't play every snap of every game. Let Cameron Jackson be the backup to Byron Murphy. He's 6'6", 340, a good run defender. Let's just leave it at that. Then at 212, grabbing Logan Brown from Kansas. He's a developmental tackle, but he's 6'6", 315. At worst, is a backup swing tackle. At best, he fights for playing time, right? But his insurance for Abe Lucas, a really solid run blocker. Needs to improve as a pass blocker, obviously. He's a 6th-round pick. There's always going to be a major issue. But as a run blocker, I trust him to develop. Then at number 216, grabbing Aubrey Burks from West Virginia. He was on track to be a top 150 pick before he got an injury, ended his season. Very good tackler last 2 years. He played everywhere on the field at corner, nickel, and deep safety. I think he'd be a chess piece in the 6th round of a backup dude who can just play everywhere in case of injury. Then finally at 219, grabbing Johnny Walker Jr. from Missouri. Another depth guy, He plays the run and the pass very well. more compact size. He's only 6'3", so in my opinion, probably won't make the team. But he's a 7th round pick, so if he can make the team, I think he can be a rotation guy for you. Gave me a B-. Yeah, I did draft the low guys higher than the PFF mock machine has them, but I drafted them where I think they're going to go. Gunnar Helm, Jordan Phillips, Pat Bryant. I think they're going to go in those rounds that I drafted them, around where I drafted them. So not at all shocked that PFF ranked it a little lower. I'd probably go more B+ range, right? But if you guys enjoy it, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below what you would do different for the Seattle Seahawks. Do you not like me signing Sam Darnold? Do you not like me trading DK, Tyler, and Geno? Is that, unrealistic? I just believe when there's smoke, there is fire. So I believe those 3 rumors. They have a lot of these national talking heads talk about it. So I decided to do it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.